Good morning and welcome to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's only local morning show, giving you exclusive access into people, businesses, and events in our community. I'm your host, Maddie Mushton. We're live daily here on Civic Center TV, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. Before we dive into today's show, every week we highlight someone, an educator, student, business, or organization from our Greater West Bloomfield community, going above and beyond. If you would like to submit an entry for someone, you can scan the QR code on the screen, fill out the Google form with the person's name, their contact information, and reasons why you think they should be recognized for our Person of the Week. Now let's go check out what's going on in our Greater West Bloomfield community. The first event we want to look at is the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society is hosting the Old Islam in Detroit presentation. They are rediscovering the Muslim American past. This happens next Tuesday on February 22nd at 7 p.m. at Connect in West Bloomfield. Michigan is home to one of the only and the oldest and most diverse and best incorporated Muslim communities in the U.S., where a dynamic process of political and religious change is still unfolding. This talk explores the rise of Detroit's earliest Muslim communities with author Sally Howell, who is an associate professor of history, director of the Center of Arab American Studies at the University of Michigan Dearborn. This event is free and you can contact the Historical Society to register. West Bloomfield Parks has all of those great Black History Month events. They're working with the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force to bring those free events to celebrate Black History Month. Tonight, the West Bloomfield Parks will have a special virtual event to celebrate Black History Month and hear from Major William H. Burnett, president of the Macon Thomas West Bloomfield chapter. He's the president of Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated. The virtual history will start at 7 p.m. and a presentation as well as time for questions and answers will be at the end. West Bloomfield Parks also has their final Black History Month event coming up later this month. It's their Black Expo. This will be held on February 26th. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Orchard Mall. This is a free event and also family friendly. There will be a DJ as well as the West Bloomfield Jazz Band will perform at 11 a.m. There will be demos and displays highlighting careers, resources, and Black-owned businesses. Some of the businesses that will be there will be the House of Barbecue, Jewels by Joyce, Authentic Existence, and so many more. For all these events, you can head over to the West Bloomfield Parks website to register. If you have an event you would like us to feature, you can send us a message on our social media pages at Civic Center TV and Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Coming up, I will be talking with Amy DeRosier. She is from West Bloomfield Parks. We're going to talk about some of their senior health fitness classes. But before that, with all the snow on its way tonight, we aren't the only ones who will be enjoying it. The animals around Greater West Bloomfield are too. If you're curious about what type of animals make those cool tracks on the snow on the ground, we walked in the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary with Carol Fink, who showed us some of the different animal tracks and how to tell which animal made them. If you've ever wondered what animals made certain tracks in the snow, we walked the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary to get some tips and tricks from Carol Fink on how to become an expert.
Hey, good morning. My name is Carol Fink. I'm at the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary, one of my favoriteest places in the world. Beautiful place to be all seasons of the year. Winter happens to be one of my favorite times because in the winter woods you're able to see a lot more of the hints that nature shows us. So a lot of people come out here, families come here. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. What works for me is when I walk in the woods, I'm entering into a beautiful sacred, magical place. So I'm actually coming into the woods. I usually stop, take a couple breaths, leave to the rest of the world behind me, and come in and enjoy and be surrounded by beautiful nature.
Let's go take a look now at some of the tracks that Carol and I found outside at the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary.
One, they're small. Two, they hop. Three, they have a tail, and that tail rubs in the snow as they walk or run. So we came here, and they can also dive under the snow because mice, moles, and voles are really good food for predators. So they have a great ability to hide under the snow. So once again, tracks in the snow tell us a story. I'm looking at these particular tracks here. They're going in a fairly straight line, and I am assuming they are either a fox or a coyote. However, fox, coyote, they're always looking for food for their survival. So one of the ways that you can identify their tracks is they come in a straight line. They can walk in another coyote's footprints. So a lot of times if they're being pursued, it might look like there's only one coyote, but actually there could be 4 or 5 of them. So it's really awesome to look and see what's going on in the woods. Okay, back to the tracks. We've got a lot of small animals, like as we saw a lot of evidence with the mice, the jumping mice with the tail. These smaller tracks belong either to a mole or a vole, and they're very teeny little mammals that live mostly underground. They have very small eyes, but they're also, you can follow their tracks. They are really, I just think they're such an entertaining track. So they also stay low, you know, when the owls or the hawks are out, but these are either mole or vole tracks. Okay, as we travel and make our own tracks, I'm looking over here and I'm seeing deer trails. Deer usually follow each other, so a lot of times established deer trails will have several deer on them. We're looking at their feet, they've got heart-shaped hooves, so it's kind of fun to figure out, are they going this way or are they going that way?
Now it's your turn to take a hike in the sanctuary, enjoy the fresh snow, and find those unique animal tracks. Reporting for the Splash Live, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you again to Carol Fink for showing us how to spot those animal tracks in our community with the snow on its way. You guys can go out and go check out those animal tracks at the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary. Later on, we'll be taking a look at a restaurant that embodies community, local food and drink right here in Greater West Bloomfield. But before that, we'll be joined by the West Bloomfield Recreation Operations and Systems Coordinator, Amy DeRosier. All that and more after this short break.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head on, visit michigan.gov/flu.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be like happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm Maddie Muschin. Joining us now to talk about some of their adult and senior fitness classes offered through West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation as West Bloomfield Recreation Operations and Systems Coordinator, Amy DeRosier. Amy, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Amy, could you start off first by telling us a little bit about your position and the things that you oversee at West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation?
Sure. So first and foremost, yes, I do adult fitness. So I oversee at any given time, about a dozen contractors. It could be up to 15. Right now with COVID over the last year, it's gone down to about 9. I also oversee our community garden. I oversee the operations, like the customer service side of the dog park. And I also help coordinate our front end staff, customer service, and those types of things.
Amy, can you tell us a little bit about some of those class offerings that you have in the different locations?
Yes, so one of our challenges, because we have so many wonderful parks, we do have a small amount of indoor facility to use, so we do try to make the most of that. And we have fitness classes at Marshbank Park, so we utilize the lodge out there. We utilize Connect, our senior center. We also utilize Drake Sports Park and the room there to offer everything from Pilates, yoga, Tai Chi, classes specific for seniors, people who need more of a chair exercise class that have limitations with what they can do. And we also offer things as like Zumba, dance, just quite a wide variety, which is great, especially during COVID. We've had a fluctuation of contractors coming and going, but also with that being said, we are offering a lot of Zoom offerings. So not at the same time, if you can't join the class in person, you can join via Zoom.
So Amy, let's talk a little bit about the differences between the in-person and the virtual classes. For someone who maybe either doesn't feel comfortable or can't make it into an in-person workout class there, what is the experience they have doing those classes via Zoom?
So yeah, the feedback and why we continue to do it is that it is, even if it's for a handful of people, it's been, we've gotten a lot of good feedback. And especially if they miss a class, because we know that people again are getting COVID, people have issues. So we do offer them a recording of that Zoom. If they miss it, they can contact our office. We send that to them. So we've had a lot of great feedback with those people who really need that can't get out, especially in the winter time. So we offer the Zoom. We've been offering Zoom seasonally, but especially in the winter time, it's been really helpful.
Amy, you guys also have some instructors, those contract workers that are going in and out. You mentioned the decrease in the amount of instructors that you guys have. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you guys are dealing with that, especially going on during COVID?
Yeah, so like I said, thankfully, our residents have been very understanding. At the start of COVID, we basically, we did have to cancel everything. And then bringing people back slowly, the classes that we did offer, people were excited just to come back in person. But we did have a few instructors who are now just coming back with us after about 2.5 years. One of those instructors had worked closely with cancer patients, so she could not take the chance at the time. So we're slowly getting people coming back, and that's really nice, and the community is, obviously really appreciative of that.
Amy, as you guys are offering these fitness classes for adults and seniors in our community, how have you seen that impact for someone that maybe is dealing with COVID, is not getting out and as active as they normally are? Those classes that you guys offer, how have they been impacting those people in our community?
If I understood you correctly, I think kind of what I just said, people are really excited to come back. We just reopened our senior center this year fully. So having people back, and right now we are under a mask mandate, but even with that, people are respecting that. There hasn't been any pushback. People are just really excited to be coming back in person, and people are doing what they need to do to take care of one another by wearing their mask, sanitizing. A lot of people have had COVID. We've had a lot of people who have had to have refunds for COVID. And so we are taking it one day at a time. And, it's been a hard process, but we are pushing through and working with it.
Amy, as we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to share with us, either updates in those workout and fitness classes that you guys have, or anything else going on in the West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation?
Just to let people know, again, even the in-person classes, obviously we have it set up for them to succeed by staying socially distant. The contractors are all also making sure that people are being safe and respectful of each other with space. So if you are interested in in-person class, do know that all those practices are in place and people are doing that. And again, if you're interested in a Zoom class, you can do that. And a lot of our instructors, you can sign up for any of our classes. And if you're not happy with it, before the second class, you can get a refund. So come and try us out, see what we have to offer.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your morning and joining us, Amy.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Once again, I was joined by West Bloomfield Recreation Operations and Systems Coordinator Amy DeRosier, talking about some of those fitness classes that they offer for adults and seniors in our community. I got to stop by a staple here in Greater West Bloomfield that is bringing the feeling of community and a house-made beer and food to the area. CJ's Brewing Company is located off of Richardson Road. It is a perfect place to gather with friends, and I talked to the Assistant General Manager, Tyson Forrester, about why you should make CJ's your go-to restaurant. calling all beer fanatics and lovers of local restaurants. CJ's Brewing Company has all the beer and homemade food you could dream of right here in Greater West Bloomfield. We visited CJ's and talked to Assistant General Manager Tyson Forrester about their history and the food and beer they serve.
Well, as far as CJ's is concerned, we were started back in 1997. For probably a majority of the early 2000s, we were number 5 in the state for beer production, which is saying a lot how small our brewery is. We actually have a brew pub license, which allows us to keep a full liquor bar, as well as our brewing process. So we do a lot of fun stuff. Our top 5 is our normal Golden Lager American Wheat VAT 33 IPA, Lower Straight Stout, and our Rich Hag Red that we have. We always have at least 14 to 16 taps, and everything is made in-house. We do have a few domestics that, believe it or not, we end up having to throw some of them away because they fall past the date because our beer is so good. What I will say about our beer is it is true to the type of beer, like our Lower Straight Stout. It doesn't have a lot of big, I call them foo-foo flavors for me. You know, my husband likes Neapolitan Stout from Saugatuck Brewing Company. I love our Lower Straight Stout because it is a stout and it's not thick. So you can have more than one and not feel full. We have a scratch kitchen, so everything down to the sauces, down to the doughs is made in-house, which I think wrapping that around the fact that we have so much good beer works well for us.
We also asked Tyson how the COVID-19 pandemic impacted CJ's and the rest of their staff.
Throughout the pandemic, you know, we had a lot of people that were very nervous about what was going on in the real world, you know. Information came in spurts. One of the big things that I preached from day one was, you know, all of the rules and regulations that the health department has put us in, we already do that. So you don't have to learn anything new other than, you know, triple the amount of times that you might wipe a door handle. And that was our focus. You know, a lot of people were affected differently. They reacted differently. I know a lot of our fellow restaurants were really, really affected by the shutdown with what happened with COVID-19 and then, you know, the increased restrictions that the restaurant industry held.
Tyson also talked about his love for the Greater West Bloomfield area as well as what the community means to them.
I always tell everybody we're far enough away but close enough to be there. You know, we don't have the hustle and bustle that you see if you're shooting down Woodward from Birmingham all the way to Detroit. There's pride, there's a sense of pride whenever you say, you know, I live in West Bloomfield. I don't ever feel like ashamed or upset.
If you're looking for a place to eat that feels like a community, CJ's Brewing Company in Greater West Bloomfield is the place for you. Reporting for The Splash Live, I'm Maddie Mustian. Thank you to Tyson for giving us an inside look into CJ's Brewing Company. The love for West Bloomfield and their patrons is off the charts, so make sure to stop by to check out their expansive list of beers and great food. We're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we'll be talking with the senior mortgage officer, Michelle Clark, for Michigan's First Mortgage. We'll talk to Michelle after this break.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Eleven teens a day die from texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. We're now joined by Michelle Clark. She's the Senior Mortgage Loan Officer at Michigan First Mortgage. Michelle, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Maddie, for having me.
Michelle, could you first start off with explaining your role as the Senior Mortgage Loan Officer at Michigan First Mortgage?
So my responsibility is to help clients get into either first-time home ownership or people that are currently in a home looking to refinance or maybe even to upgrade into something newer or bigger.
Michelle, could you tell us a little bit about the steps one should take in order to apply and take out a loan?
Okay, so what you would want to do is contact myself, hopefully, to get a pre-approval. Once you go through the steps of the pre-approval process, which is basically getting a handful of items that are needed, such as your bank statements, W-2s, current pay stubs to show that you are employed, and bank statements to show the funds that you're going to be using to purchase your home. Once you get your pre-approval in hand, you want to make sure that you are working with a reputable real estate agent. We have several in this area that I personally work with myself. Again, work with somebody who knows the industry and is familiar too on how the process works.
Michelle, for someone who is a first-time buyer, what should they know? Do you have any tips or advice to guide them through that process?
Well, a lot of the misunderstanding in the market, there's a lot of people renting right now. So those are the people that I'd like to try to work with to get them into home ownership, because why build equity in somebody else's investment? Let's start building it in your own. So though the conventional program is a 20% down, we have programs today that will help clients get into home ownership with less than 20% down. Examples would be an FHA, which requires 3.5% down, a MSHA program that you can utilize, which is through Michigan. And then we at Michigan First Credit Union have our own program, which is called Turning Point. Now, though the other two programs that I mentioned do require a PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, which insures the lender because you're not putting 20% down, the Turning Point program offers you to put 10% down without PMI insurance. So you can take that savings and put that on your principal balance every month on your current mortgage.
Michelle, do you see an impact with the buyers in the housing market right now with those interest rates rising?
Yes, interest rates are not 1.75 as they were a year ago. The reality is the economy is changing right now. The housing market is changing. It is currently still a seller's market. That's because of the low inventory that we've had the last couple of years and the homes being scooped up very quickly. But rates are still anywhere between, say, a 3.5% and 4% rate right now. So though that's a little higher than what it has been for the last couple of years, these are still good interest rates, people. Don't, again, waste your money on apartment renting. Start building equity and getting your tax breaks on your own home.
Michelle, some people may be a little bit nervous about not having the perfect credit score that it may deter them from purchasing a home. What kind of advice and resources do you have to offer to them to help them maybe get into the buyer's market?
Well, I would recommend everybody at least every 6 months pull your own credit score. In the mortgage industry, we use the 3 merged. So you're going to use TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So say if you're buying a home or buying a car rather, they might use TransUnion or one of the other 2. But with the mortgage, you're going to pull all 3 bureaus. You can go on either credit, you can go on the annualcredit.com and pull that once a year. But be aware of what your credit is. That's first off. That way you can stay on top of it and work on it. Make sure that you understand that just because you have a lower FICO score does not mean that you can't get into home ownership. We have FICO scores that are under 640 and we can still get people into home ownership. So there are programs that are out there. So don't let that deter you. And keep in mind too that there's always the opportunity for any of the programs to get seller contributions. In addition, like on a VA, have worked with a lot of veterans in the past. Those people are not putting any money down. So veterans out there, take advantage of your veteran benefit. You worked hard for it.
And Michelle, let's talk about some of those veterans benefits. Do you guys have specific programs at Michigan First Mortgage that are able to help those veterans that are looking to either get into home ownership or take out a loan?
Yes. At Michigan First, besides the mortgage piece of it, and again, that's a 0% down to the veterans out there, we have a lot of benefits here. At the credit union piece of it, for savings accounts, boat loans, RV, car loans. What we have to offer is, unlike maybe a broker, if you go to a broker for a home loan, you're going to, in most cases, pay higher closing costs and a little bit higher interest rates. With the credit union, because we are a nonprofit, our rates are going to be lower and more competitive, and we'll be able to get you into those different type of loans, including your mortgage, at a better rate and less fees.
Michelle, as we wrap up here, is there anything else you want to share, either about your position as a senior mortgage loan officer or anything else about the programs that you guys have at Michigan First?
I would just like to say to everybody out there, again, don't let a FICO score detour you. Please reach out to me today. If I can get that information from you, we can actually get you a pre-approval pretty quickly. I'm going to say within an hour. So again, the market is going to be picking up again real soon. Spring is on the way. And I hope that you will consider myself and Michigan First Credit Union for your next mortgage.
Michelle, if someone does want to reach out to you, how can they go about reaching out to you or another one of your officers at Michigan First?
Okay, they can contact me directly at 248-974-9619, or they can email me at Michelle, actually it'll be M for Michelle Clark, at michiganfirst.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, I was joined by Michelle Clark. She's a senior mortgage loan officer at Michigan First Mortgage, talking a little bit about some of the things that they offer there, as well as some advice for first-time buyers. That's going to do it for today's show today. Thank you again to Amy DeRosier and Michelle Clark for joining us this morning. A special thanks to our Zoom producer, Jared Clark, for coordinating the Zoom, making sure our guests joined us, and making sure that everyone is prepared for their Zoom interview. As always, thank you to Calvin Brown, our board operator, for making the show possible each and every morning. And thank you for joining me as we explored all of the people and events in our greater West Bloomfield community. As always, you can make sure to tune in live on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99 Monday through Friday at 9:30 to catch on what's going on in our greater West Bloomfield community. You can also watch our show every morning on My Michigan TV. It's a new streaming service that covers everything going around Michigan. You can either check out their free app or watch on mymytv.com. For all of our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Kiko Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you for watching The Splash Live.